I'll get this event started. So thank you for joining us on this special day. I know many, myself included, have been looking forward to this in-person celebration. 3 years ago, qualifiers like in-person or virtual didn't even exist in our vernacular. We were in the middle of closing this deal when the world changed in March of 2020, but we did not let that stop us. This team completed the amazing feat of bringing this project to completion on time in spite of the global pandemic. This is due to the ingenuity of the many partners on this deal and their ability to pivot and adapt to the difficulties we faced. Exhibit number 1 is the virtual groundbreaking that was really successful that many of you attended. But I'm so glad that today we are able to celebrate in person. We could not have dreamed of a better municipal partner for this deal than the town of Auburn. I applaud the town for their clear commitment to the roadmap that they charted for themselves in their housing production plan. Under the leadership of town manager Julie Jacobson, we were able to establish a positive working relationship from the very beginning with all the various town departments, as well as community stakeholders like the Auburn Senior Center, the Council on Aging, and the Auburn Historical Commission. This project started with a vision that the community challenged the development community to help them deliver, and they have stayed in the trenches with us the whole way to make sure that this vision came to fruition. I wanted to take a quick moment to recognize a few staff that have been instrumental. Caleb Moody from the Building Department, Adam Menard from the Planning Division, the town CFO Ed Kasanovic, Fire Chief Steve Coleman, Fire Inspector Greg Morin, Police Chief Todd Lemon, Town Assessor Seth Woolard, Economic Development Coordinator Brooke Hultgren, Staff Assistant Rachel Pressey, DPW Director Joanne Peckin, and last but definitely not least, the former Economic Development Coordinator Shannon Richards. Thank you all for your help in getting us to this major milestone. Now I'd like to invite Julie Jacobson, the Auburn Town Manager, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the town of Auburn, we welcome you all here today for this very exciting event that we waited so long for. It's great to see so many of you here today. It really is a landmark project. As many of you know who've been involved in this has really been a multi-year vision for the town of Auburn. It's come to fruition thanks to the extraordinary efforts of so many local, state, federal agencies and officials, as well as our Auburn residents, our boards and commissions. And of course, without saying, it goes thanks to the developer who shared our vision to provide quality, affordable senior housing in a property that is steeped in local history, and that is Penrose, and through its leader, Charlie Adams, who I met several years ago when this project first started. I thank you and all of your team for your extraordinary efforts. This project really is a testament to what can be accomplished when people work together to achieve a common goal. And that follows through on all levels, local, state, and federal. This tremendous project has positive economic impacts for the community of Auburn. The conversion of a vacant elementary school into much-needed affordable senior housing, as well as market rate, putting a tax-exempt property back on the tax rolls, and a beautiful, historically significant renovation of a building that holds treasured memories for many of our Auburn residents here. And I see some of you here in the audience actually went to school here. So when I say there are cherished memories, those of you who went to school here know what I'm talking about. Penrose has demonstrated with its actions its commitment to the neighborhood and to our town. In addition to this project, we're excited to say that we'll soon be installing a new playground behind the building on the field that's owned by the town, and that's made possible through the generosity of Penrose and a grant from the state that our local legislators in the state approved. So we're just thrilled. This is a collaborative effort to bring together all the resources that we need to make this project happen. A project of this magnitude could not be feasible without the state and federal programs that support this type of critical redevelopment and support housing. It most certainly could not be possible without Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, DHCD, Mass Housing Partnership, the Mass Historic Commission, Congressman Jim McGovern, Senator Mike Moore, Representative Frost, our Board of Selectmen, the Elementary School Reuse Advisory Committee, and the Auburn Historic Commission, including all of our town departments and many other stakeholders in the community. I can't thank you enough for all of your efforts, for your leadership, and for your advocacy. Now it is really my pleasure to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Karen Polito, to you. Karen Polito needs no introduction, but I really need to say a couple of things before she speaks. She has been a fierce advocate for affordable housing, senior housing, and housing choice in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Through her efforts and determination, this project received the support of several state agencies and received critical state tax dollars through tax credits to make it happen. Lieutenant Governor Polito has been a strong advocate for all municipalities across the Commonwealth since she was elected 8 years ago, and she's really been a true friend of Auburn in that time. Through her efforts, projects like this one have come to fruition, revitalizing communities and providing quality housing options. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Lieutenant Governor Polito.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everyone. I could not wait for this day to come so that we could literally be here in person to celebrate your accomplishment here, and for the most part, just to say how grateful and thankful we are that a town like Auburn has prioritized housing of this choice for this community. You have so much to be applauded for. But let me start by asking you, who in this audience had either attended or had a family member attend this school? Raise your hand. Okay, that's a lot. That's great, including Representative Paul Frost. I think you're one of your children. All three of your children attended school here. So this is very much a local story, but it's also an important story for our Commonwealth. I want to say thank you to the Congressman. It's been always a pleasure to partner with you in your office. And I want to thank the Undersecretary Maddox, who you'll hear from in just a moment, for your leadership all throughout the pandemic, solving problems over and over again and helping keep people attached to their housing and their homes during the most difficult of times. You'll hear Undersecretary Maddox speak in just a moment. I want to thank the local officials for your extraordinary dedication during this time of crisis for this community, for our people, and across our Commonwealth. You have led, and I want to thank personally Julie Jacobson for your incredible leadership. It has been a pleasure for me to serve as a former local official, a select woman in my hometown of Shrewsbury, going on to serve in the legislature, and then having sort of returned to my roots as Lieutenant Governor to work with the local officials all throughout our Commonwealth. And one of the highest priorities of our administration has been and continues to be over the course of this year to address our housing crisis. This was clearly a problem before the pandemic that has only been exacerbated by the needs that people have coming out of the pandemic. You here in Auburn have prioritized housing as a need and as an opportunity for your community. This all started with that conversation with a charrette, basically asking the people of this community, what is it that you want for housing? Where do you want it? And how can we, as select people and leaders in the community, design and plan for the housing of your choice to meet today's needs and the future needs of this community? That was a really smart move, because housing is a key way to keep people connected to a community that they love and they have family in and they have familiarity in, but also it's a key way to help young people and working families come into a community and be part of your story and your history for decades to come. I also want to applaud this project because it's complex, all right? There were 7 different funding sources that went into making this happen. State, federal, and local contributions. It might seem common sense that you would use and repurpose an old school that was not being used for this purpose, but to get to reality took a lot of different people, and it took the leadership of this community to corral everyone and help people achieve the common goal. I want to thank Penrose. Penrose is a national player with significant ties to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They're problem solvers. They could have walked away from this project multiple times, and they didn't. They not only wanted to celebrate Mary Stone's history, but also her sister in government, Julia Bancroft, and having 2 of your properties here in Auburn repurposed for housing of your choice. I think there's a fact that says there's only 48 affordable units for every 100 low-income senior. That's not going to work. That's not sustainable. So the other point I want to make is to you here in Auburn, to the taxpayers, to the local leaders, thank you for doing your part, for caring for your neighbors, for caring for older citizens here in Auburn that want to stay here but might not necessarily need a single-family home that they're in, or want to stay in a place where they're healthy, they'll be healthy and they'll be supported and be safe. And to have this as an option is an incredible sort of gift to these individuals and families and to the future success and well-being of this community. So thank you. You stand out here in Auburn as an example to other communities that can do the same. Yes, it took 5 years to get to this point, but it was well worth the journey traveled together. This is an extraordinary redo. You should be very proud of it. And if I were one of these residents or a member of a family that's part of living in this property, I'd be pretty proud too. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you again for sticking through the hard times and the good times of all of this. Again, Mary and Julia are having a little party with all of us today. And I couldn't be more proud of all of the things that you have done here in this community to make it a better and more successful place to live. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Undersecretary Maddox. I think you will be drawn in by her enthusiasm and her energy. She is one of those government figures that comes to work every day willing to accept the challenges that come to us. We can't pick and choose the things we want to work on in government. You take it all. And has brought extraordinary clarity and creativity in solving a lot of problems throughout these past years. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work with you, Undersecretary Maddox. Thank you all. It's great to be with you.
Good morning. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for being with us here today. It is always a pleasure to celebrate with you. And thank you to Carmen for bringing in the entire Penrose team for bringing us together. Congratulations to Penrose and Auburn on this beautiful new housing. Building affordable housing is not easy. It takes years of patience, hundreds of meetings, construction delays, and a lot of teamwork to get every project done. But as you can see today, the results are transformational. We need more affordable senior housing just like this in every region throughout the Commonwealth. We need more options for older seniors, from empty nesters looking to downsize, to very low-income seniors with service needs, and adults transitioning from homelessness. We know the lack of supply drives up the housing cost and keeps stability away from too many people. In December, Governor Baker signed a bill authorizing $265 million in ARPA funds for affordable rental development. And just last week, the administration filed new legislation to put another $250 million or so in ARPA funding for affordable rental housing. Now, I've spent, thank you, right? That is amazing. And to that very point, I've spent a lot of time crunching numbers when I was the CFO before becoming the Undersecretary. And I can say with confidence that never before have we ever had this level of investments or momentum to drive housing production. But it is going to take a lot more than funding authorizations and zoning legislation to get housing built. I want to highlight what an important role the town of Auburn played in making this redevelopment happen. And we need more communities in every part of this Commonwealth proactively pursuing housing. We are ready and we are waiting to help communities and developers with plans, zoning, and more through DHCD and with our fantastic quasi-housing agencies. Congratulations again to all of our partners here today, and I'm very happy to turn it over to Congressman McGovern. Now, we all know that the federal housing tax credit is a very critical, important tool. And we are so fortunate to have excellent representation down in DC who understands and gets it and fights for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary. Sorry, I'm just going to make some more remarks in between the speakers to thank some of our other team members. So Mary D. Stone was funded during the first ever High Readiness Production Projects Round in 2019, often also referred to as the mini round. Under Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito's leadership, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has designated significant resources to the production and preservation of affordable housing. And it seems like there's going to be a lot more funds available now, too. And the Department of Housing and Community Development is tasked with the difficult job of how to stretch those dollars to as many units as possible so that more families in the Commonwealth can have access to safe, stable, and affordable housing. The town of Auburn, and specifically this project, are the beneficiaries of that. So we want to thank Secretary Keneally and Secretary Maddox and their team for their hard work to translate these dollars into funded projects. And the team that helped this project includes Kate Racer, Rebecca Frawley, Steve Pantalone, Matt Seedale, and Camille Perry from DHCD, as well as Cassie Mann from CDAC and Michelle Vincent-Guerra from Mass Housing. So it truly takes a village to make these projects happen. The beautiful building that is now home to 55 senior households was the results of years of collaboration between the construction and design team. And I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate them and thank them for their work. From Demilla Schaefer, led by Philippe Saad, we have Adam Yothers, Christian Voigt, and Demis Shifra, our architects who designed this beautiful building that seamlessly melds the old and the new. From NEI General Contracting, led by Joe Redman, we have Antonio Tenenero, Joe Cavallero, Marco Del Vecchio, and Vinny Barboza, who turned what was drawn on paper into brick and mortar that we have in front of us. Chelsea Christensen from Niche Engineering, our civil engineer, designed the many unseen but critical structures on this site. And last but not least, thank you, Naomi Cottrell from Crowley Cottrell, for the beautiful landscaping. The pandemic has highlighted the importance of stable housing for our communities. Even as the economy continues to recover, millions of Americans are still struggling, and developments like this are in even higher demand. At the time of the housing lottery for Mary D. Stone, we had over 210 applicants for the 55 units available here, and we continue to get applications in every week. One of the pillars of affordable housing is the federal low-income housing tax credit program, which provided almost 50% of the resources needed for this development. So I want to thank Congressman Jim McGovern, who has represented his community for over 25 years, for his continued support of federal programs to make projects like the Mary D. Stone apartments possible. Congressman McGovern.
Well, thank you very much, and I get two introductions, so I feel really special here today. With all the negative stuff that we read about in the news today, it's just really wonderful to come here and celebrate something good. And so it's really a pleasure to be with everybody here today. You know, this redevelopment project is a perfect example of the federal-state local partnership. Not only are these units going to be affordable, but they are going to be the kinds of places that people actually want to live in. Affordable housing ought to be desirable housing, not an afterthought. And this is an incredible development behind me. I especially want to recognize the amazing Auburn Town Manager Julie Jacobson and the Select Board here in Auburn, who have been working so diligently day in and day out on this project, as well as everybody affiliated with the maintaining the building behind me. I do want to say that I represent a whole bunch of communities, from here all the way out to the Pioneer Valley, and I think Julie Jacobson is one of the finest town managers, town administrators, not only in the Commonwealth but in the country. And so it's been a real pleasure to work with her on this and a lot of other projects, and I want to thank her for all that she's done. And what an incredible team we have here in Auburn, and that's really doing some amazing work on behalf of everyone in this community. You know, this project represents collaboration between all levels of government to facilitate much-needed senior affordable housing. And I'm proud to have helped work to secure vital tax credits to help spur this along. You know, it also really exemplifies the benefits of federal and state low-income housing tax credits and the positive impact that these credits can have on a community. And in turn, we will convert a previously tax-exempt property into a taxable revenue-generating property that benefits the whole town. And by the way, we created a whole lot of construction and permanent jobs during a challenging economic climate. So this is a great day for seniors who wish to remain independent and want to stay here in Auburn. I'm especially proud of the work that my team did in partnership with the town of Auburn to help secure federal tax credits to make this project a reality. I think it's a testament to everyone here that we were able to secure millions of dollars in state and federal tax credits during this unprecedented and challenging time to help develop these mixed income units for senior citizens. I also want to especially recognize the incredible work of Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito. You know, all of us who live in central Massachusetts and who are as old as I am, when you look back on the history of state attention that has come to central Massachusetts, there have been times when we've had no representation in the corner office of Central Massachusetts, and we are forgotten. She has made sure that that's not the case. So whether it's this or a million other projects in Central Massachusetts, she has not forgotten us, and I am very, very grateful for all of her leadership. Undersecretary Maddox, thank you for your nice first introduction and for the incredible work that you're doing. Senator Moore, Representative Frost, again, the Auburn Select Board, and everyone who helped make this day a reality. You know, Undersecretary Maddox talked about ARPA. Just so you know, ARPA is the American Rescue Plan that Congress passed. And I continue to believe more and more that not only has it enabled us to invest in affordable housing that is so essential and so very much needed, but I think it helps save the economy. I'm really impressed with how the Baker-Polito administration has been utilizing the federal monies to help communities all across the Commonwealth. But this project behind us is needed both federal and state tax credits, and I'm so proud that we have such strong partners, you know, in Boston and locally who understand the value of these projects and the impact they have on our community, and especially our senior citizens. And finally, let me just say thank you to Penrose for making an investment in Auburn. Charlie and Carmen and the whole team, this is incredible. This is really wonderful. And we are all grateful for your incredible leadership and all the wonderful work that you have done here. So this is a great day. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Congressman. The production and preservation of affordable housing in communities across the Commonwealth is also made possible by the hard work of our state legislature to supplement the scarce federal resources available for housing. Massachusetts allocates up to $40 million a year in state tax credits for affordable housing, in addition to an alphabet soup of other funds that help make this project feasible. Mary D. Stone receives state LIHTCs, state historic tax credits, affordable housing trust funds, home funds, housing stabilization funds, and community-based housing funds. So we want to thank Secretary Galvin and his Office for the State Historic Tax Credits, and also want to thank Senator Moore and Representative Frost for continuing to fight for resources for affordable housing at the state level. I'd like to invite both of you up to say a few words, but let's start with Doreen Goodrich, who would be speaking on behalf of Senator Moore.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to speak on behalf of State Senator Michael Moore. The senator is unable to attend due to the Senate being in formal session, but he wishes to extend his warmest congratulations to the town of Auburn and Penrose on the successful completion of the Mary D. Stone Apartments. As I prepared a few words this morning, very brief, I listened to Julie Jacobson's words. My words are very similar to hers. It shows the relationship that we had for 12 years as I served on the Board of Selectmen under her leadership. Congratulations. Make no mistake about it, Julie Jacobson is the conductor of this train of players in this significant project. She ensured that those trails never went off the rails. So congratulations, Julie. This project shows that through collaboration, positive things happen. Penrose not only worked with the federal delegation, state, town administration, boards and commissions, but most importantly, included resident input. The investment Penrose has made to the town of Auburn will have a lasting positive effect. So congratulations to all. I have a Senate citation proudly presented by Senator Moore from the Massachusetts Senate, congratulating Penrose on this historic project, and we will be happy to present that at the end of the speaking program. Again, congratulations to all.
Thank you, Representative Frost.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm Representative Paul Frost. As I mentioned in the virtual groundbreaking and in the early ceremonies regarding this project, and even then Julia Bancroft, was that my three daughters all went here for preschool. And I know for many people, this building has a lot of fond memories, and it certainly has historical value here in the community. And to be able to find a win-win scenario where this building just doesn't remain vacant and unused, and to still make it, to keep its historical architecture, to keep that historical value, and keep it useful, to create new memories for people by providing this housing here in the town of Auburn, which is also so very, very crucial, as already previous speakers have mentioned. But one of the aspects I'd like to bring up is when folks can come here, that means that most likely their single family home is now going on the market for a young family, or maybe someone just starting out to purchase. And we know how tough the real estate market has been. And that's what we want. And so this provides a solution. Now, I remember some 5 years ago when Julie Jacobson reached out to me, reached out to Senator Moore about a challenge that we were having at the state side, which was on the historical aspects of the building. So in order for this to work, there were some newer, older sections, if you will, to the building that a historical board was considering, at the state level, was still considering to be of historical value, and were opposed to those sections being taken down. Had those decisions held, these projects here and in Julia Bancroft wouldn't have been able to get done. And so we had to find a compromise. And we met with Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito in her office, and we hashed it out and tried to come up with a strategy. And I know Senator Moore and myself had to write continuous letters to the Secretary of State and to the Historical Board to try to get them to reconsider that. And ultimately they did. And this is why we're here today. So again, I just want to mention real quick and say, again, thank you to Julie for all she's done. This is going to be one of her legacy projects in this community. Everyone knows, or should know, that she's already made the announcement public, so that she will not be renewing her contract at the end of this year, December 31st. And for the time that she's been in this community, this is one of these legacy projects. So much has happened under her leadership, and as has already been mentioned by so many folks, she brought the team together. You know, when we're here with Congressman McGovern and here with Senator Moore and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito and the Undersecretary, the Board of Selectmen, so many people throughout the community. We're going to hear from Ken Ethier soon about the history of this place, and bringing all these people together in this community to support this project. And we know a lot of times that, you know, when a new housing project is coming in, it's not always well received. We know that. But this was, and the one down the street's going to be. And that's a testament to the community support, the state support, the federal support. And so I just also have a citation from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts recognizing this tremendous occasion. And as Doreen had mentioned, we'll present it at a later time. So thank you very, very, very much. Thank you, Penrose. Thank you, the town of Auburn. And thank you and congratulations to all our seniors who are going to be able to enjoy this property and make new memories and to make a new history for the town of Auburn. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Representative Frost. So once we had a completed building, now it became our management team's task to turn these into homes for our seniors. Our all-star team includes Ginny Given, the property manager, Doug Madaga, Eva Rice, Jenny Hayward, Melina Dorwinger, Joe Penta, Alexis Payon, and Bobby Joe Springer. They have done a fantastic job getting seniors moved in and creating a community here. Despite starting lease up in the worst time of the year for seniors in November and December when there are holidays and cold weather, this building is now almost fully occupied. I want to take this opportunity to thank them for their hard work over these past few months as we got this project up and running. Over the past 5 years, we have come to know how exceedingly special this school is to the Auburn community. So many times have former teachers or students who attended this school come to us and shared their stories and memories of the school. I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank the town of Auburn and the Board of Selectmen for trusting Penrose and our team with this important project. Now I'd like to invite the chair of the Board of Selectmen, Tristan LaLiberte, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you for that. When Julie first asked me to speak at the ribbon cutting, I, of course, was honored, and I said I'd be happy to. But on the ride home, I started to think, what am I going to say? After all, I think most of the people that need to be thanked will have been thanked multiple times. But while I'm on that subject, I want to say that the person that deserves the most thanks, and the congressman said it, the best town manager in the country. So I want one more round of applause for our outgoing Julie Jacobson. Thank you. But anyway, I don't have children, so that went through this school system, and I myself didn't attend Mary D. It's the unfortunate product of going to school over the line in Worcester. See, I'm the traitor on the board. K through high school in Worcester. And on that subject, I'm sure Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito will join me in saying, may holy name rest in peace. So, in looking for inspiration and things to talk about, I went to the Auburn Historical Society. And they're right up the road on South Street, and their hours are 9:30 to 12:30, Saturday and Tuesday, in case anyone's driving through Auburn and you want to stop by. They're incredibly helpful, and I'm giving you this shout-out, or giving them this shout-out, of my own free will, and not at all because Sari Biddix threatened me with violence. She's a spitfire. She's great. Anyway, when I went to the Historical Society and asked them for help, Sari took me right in, and when you walk in, there's a door to your right that has Mary D. Stone's diploma from what would become Worcester State right on the door. And Sari started reading off to me, and you'll see in the program that it said that she was qualified to teach reading, writing, grammar, and arithmetic. And knowing the nursery rhyme that just ingrained in my brain from my grandfather, my immediate reaction was right to the tune of the hickory stick. And Sari looked up at me and said, well, actually, you're a little bit more on the nose than you probably think with that statement. Turns out that Mary D. Stone was known to be quite the strict teacher. That idea was reinforced later when I was reading through old documents and accounts of her, and I came across writings from her grandson, who remembered her as an incredibly headstrong and independent woman who was always telling her family members and her husband what to do. And I just think it would be a shame not to mention her and then talk about the character that she was. But the most interesting thing that I found out about her was that she was, and again, this is in the packet, so you might already be aware, the first woman elected to the school committee in the town of Auburn. And you think of what a feat that was in the late 1800s, long before the passage of the 19th Amendment. And I've speculated with Mr. Ethier, and he'll come up and talk later, that very well might mean she was the first woman elected at all in the town of Auburn. And when you put that idea out there and you attach that to her name, you think, wow, what an incredible person and someone that we really should remember and keep in our minds. And she represents not just Auburn's connection to women's rights, but to education. Massachusetts, the Commonwealth as a whole, has of course been a leader in women's suffrage and in education. Number one in the country in education. The first public school system in the Union. Mary D. Stone, the person and the building, represents Auburn's connection to that rich history of our Commonwealth and of our country. And so I thank everyone that had a hand in preserving this for future generations, because while I may not have the memories of running through the halls, plenty of people in our community do. And now future generations will be able to look up and question who Mary D. is and learn about Auburn's connection to that rich history. So thank you all. Thank you to everyone that had a hand in this.
Thank you. So I'm sure everyone has gathered by now that the capital stack for affordable housing is definitely not for the faint of heart. In addition to the alphabet soup of state funds I mentioned earlier, we also have a number of funders on this project that I want to recognize and thank. So Michael Murray from CREA as the Federal Tax Credit Syndicator, Alan Lamboy from Citizens Bank, who is the construction lender, Ebony Smith Cooper from Blue Hub, and Bob and Miriam Dorfman from Dorfman Capital, who facilitated state tax credit investments, and Alice Wong from Mass Housing Partnerships for the permanent loan. This project would not be possible without the help of our funders and investors. Now I'd like to invite Nancy McCafferty from MHP to say a few words on behalf of our funders.
Thank you, Carmen. I'm honored to be here today representing Massachusetts Housing Partnership. We have many lenders, like Carmen had mentioned, on this particular deal, and I'm really proud that MHP has been chosen as the lender for the permanent financing. We will have this in our portfolio for over 20 years, and building another strong relationship with Penrose is something that we really value. I was thinking about what I was going to say today, and a lot of what I was going to say has already been said because I'm kind of at the end of the program. But I want to just point out this, this team of Charlie, Carmen, and the Penrose team. They never work an 8-hour day. I mean, it is like 10, 12, you name it. They are industry experts who understand the importance of developing and managing affordable housing in communities like Auburn. When Penrose calls on what I consider the bat phone, we know their sole purpose is to develop affordable housing for people they don't even know, because they believe it creates better lives, and the need in Massachusetts is so critical. Also, this extraordinary development would not have happened if it weren't for the efforts of Auburn, Julie Jacobson. I remember you at the groundbreaking and how inspired I was at that point as well. I mean, it's a real huge feat. And the leadership and the willingness to provide affordable housing and the funding for this development is beyond words. It takes a village of folks that are passionate about making a difference, and certainly in a community to transform lives, and Auburn certainly is. I'm excited to be part of this celebration and want to recognize the dedicated, hardworking people at Mass Housing Partnership, Alice Wong, Vanessa Okanakwa, who worked on the financing for this important loan. I also want to say a shout out to my counterpart at MHP, Alma Ballinon-Rosen, who is now at MHP. She previously was at Enterprise Communities and actually supported this deal before she came to MHP. So I also want to give a shout out to her as well. So MHP is a statewide public nonprofit affordable housing organization that, in concert with the governor and the State Department of Housing and Community Development, to increase the supply of affordable housing in Massachusetts. We've provided over $1 billion in financing and loans. We have several $100 million available to also support and create affordable housing, such as Mary D. Stone. And I just want to say that we couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of this beautiful, dedicated project for not only the community, but all the folks that are going to be living here. It's going to really improve their lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. So as a historic rehab project, we obviously have to talk about the history. And the chair mentioned some of that history already. But we're very excited to have the Auburn Historical Commission talk to us also and share some more of the history of this project. So I'd like to invite Kenneth here to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. It's tough for me. I'm glad I didn't bring notes because I would have been crossing them off as the 8 speakers in front of me said what they had to say. So I'm going to try to give a little bit of information as to what Auburn was like when this school was built in the late 1920s. The Rabbit Village School had just been condemned and closed down. It was a little wooden structure. I'm not going to do a historical speech here. I'm going to cut it short. But anyways, there would be 3 new buildings, being the Packet Jug at its present location, Julia Bancroft and Mary D. Stone. The other building that needed improvement would have been Stoneville Heights, and what they did there was took a single-story wooden building, lifted it up, and put another building beneath it. I think that's kind of unique for the town. But I never went to school here. I went to Packet Jug and Julia Bancroft. I was from the other side of town. But I'd like to tell you a little bit about my grandson, who today is an electrical engineer. Some 20-odd years ago, started kindergarten here with Beth Johnson, the principal. And I knew Beth before that, but she was a sweetheart. She was somebody that would not only be concerned with education, but would also want to make a very pleasant atmosphere for the children she had here. Well, I'm kind of a farmer at heart, and when fall time came, I got a hold of Beth and I said, why don't we do this? I'll come in my farmer outfit with a straw hat, with some pumpkins and some pumpkin seeds, and explain to the children how it all comes about that you get pumpkins for Halloween. With that, she agreed. And I would bring a pumpkin in for each classroom to have in the window, bring seeds in and explain the whole process of how it all worked. And with that, I did that until Beth actually retired from the school here. And I got the name the Pumpkin Man. Anytime I would see Beth around town, I was the Pumpkin Man, which I kind of got a kick out of it. So let me see, what else do I want to tell you about today? Okay, there was a fellow named Carlton Thomas, who some of you have probably been out to Oxford to Carl's Diner. Carl passed away, somebody else runs it now, but Carlton would give you portions of food for breakfast that if you stood up after you ate it all, he was disappointed. He would really put the food on. Well, Carlton was also a student here in the 30s. Carlton's family had an ice business, his father and his uncles, Thomas Ice. Carlton lived right about where the Turnpike Bridge is at Central Square, and Carlton would tell me about getting out of school, running across the fields in mid-February to harvest ice with his family. I've always been, that's a story that kind of stuck with me, is how much things have changed. Now we have refrigerators and we don't even think about having to have ice to keep our food cold. Anyways, tried not to repeat anything, but I can't finish this without just telling you that as Historical Commission, I saw some of the roadblocks that Julie went through. She would come to our meetings, and I can promise you that I would not have had the determination Julie had to make this project come through. To me, I'm probably looking at it a little bit different way than some of the people, being many times in Auburn. An old building was just demolished. When I came home from the military, I looked over my favorite fishing spot on Southbridge Street, and it was now Sears and Roebuck's. They had filled that in 1971. And I've seen so many things like that that didn't really work with me, that I would just like to really thank Julie for the great job she did in saving this historic structure. With that, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, we're almost at the finish line. And before our last speaker of the day, I also wanted to thank Lee Reedy and Katie Rudin from our management company who helped put this all together. So thank you for helping us have such a fantastic event. So now I'd like to invite Charlie Adams, our New England Regional Vice President, to help us wrap up this event.
This is it. We're done, right? Where are the residents? Can the residents raise their hand? Raise your hand. This is for you, right? This is, you guys are here. We're happy to have you. So today I'm going to play the role of Tim Henkel, one of our president owner, and he's actually here with us today, over here on the side. We mixed things up today. Carmen did the heavy lifting, and I'm taking Tim's role. We really want to thank Tim and the owners for all their help and support. They provide the personnel and the financial resources to help us. They set the course and the direction. They help us solve problems. And, you know, most importantly, over the last 2 years, they've really helped pick us all up, because it's been a really challenging year for all of us in the industry. I know I speak for all of us in what we've had to go through. Tim's hallmark is he often listens and doesn't prepare any notes. He just takes what everybody says and puts it all together. I'm not that talented, so I actually have some remarks. I can't do that. But I do want to start with talking about Carmen. We've talked about her a little bit today, but I think that, you know, she's really the person that I'd like to say a few words about. You can't say enough about her and the effort she's done on this job, and as well as on Julia Bancroft. She's been there with me now for 5 years. Carmen has touched almost all of our projects in our short time here, but this is really special because this is the one that she took right from the beginning to the finish, and it's all completely her, and we really owe her a debt of gratitude. So just briefly, I wanted to share, we were, Lieutenant Governor, we were on a session yesterday with CHAPA, with the Undersecretary. And, you know, in the Tim spirit, there has been a lot of talk about collaboration. So I just want to mention that. One of the things that we heard on that call was, and I think this came from Clark, actually at MHP, was in the 30 years that he's been in this business, he has never seen collaboration like this with all the different agencies, mass housing, mass development, as well as all the quasi-agencies. And that's really a testament to you and the Undersecretary in bringing everybody together for these kinds of initiatives. So we really appreciate that. And so the last thing I just want to add, something somewhat new, is, you know, when I was a kid, my mom would ask her friends, you know, had adult children, how are they doing? And often they would say, oh, they're doing really well, they're really successful. And I came to realize that meant they made a lot of money. And so I was always like, that's kind of a different definition than necessarily of success. This is what success looks like for all of us. And I think we should all be really proud of that. And so my hope is for all of you that participated in that when someone asks, you know, your mom or your partner or your son or your daughter, you know, how are you doing? They say they're doing great. They're really successful because they helped work on something like this. So that's my wish for all of you. So in conclusion, the one thing I want to do, and I'm a little nervous about doing this because we do have the Auburn police here, but I did, before we closed on the building, I did take something from the building that I stole. But the good news is I'm bringing it back, so before you cart me off. And so I'd like to call Shannon to come up, if she could come up. So one of the things that we did when we toured the building is there was something that was pinned to the wall in one of the classrooms, right? Shannon knows this. So we grabbed it. So this is for the last 5 years. This has been sitting in our office. Not framed, but it was framed recently. So I want to share all this with you. So this is a sign that we found that was, I don't know if you can all see this, but I'll read it. It says, "Dear Mary D., thank you for all of the great memories," and there's a heart. "Love, the last student." So we saved this. We saved this. Shannon was with me, so she was my partner in crime when we stole this. So I'm going to hand it to her. She's going to hold it up during the ribbon cutting, and then she's going to take it to the management office where there's a spot on the wall where this will go up in the management office. Thank you. There you go. Okay, so now we're done. We're going to talk logistics. So we're going to do a ribbon cutting, I think, over here.